Okay, so welcome. So everybody, we're here today with Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Is it okay if I call you Eric moving forward?
Yes, you, of course, you're a friend for X number of years.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I kind of created this. There's so many people out there doing things who are celebrities and have some sort of notoriety around fitness and well-being, but and you're the Brooklyn Borough president, so you're kind of like a celebrity. But I've known you for so long, I just think of you as friend.
That's right. That's right. And real friends, there are people we meet throughout our journey. I don't know who stated it, that people are around for a reason, a
Mm,
season, and a
right,
lifetime.
right.
But your family is my family. You are lifetime friends, and you have really put me on some important pathways, learning about really emotional development, some of the
Oh,
things you turned me on to. And when I look at my success, I point to places that your pearls of wisdom, they have been there, and I really appreciate that. I'll sit in a room sometimes entertaining someone either locally or foreign or doing some type of initiative. I say, wow, this is a Sally Stewart's moment.
I love it. I'm glad you remember me in those important moments in your life because you've done the same for me, and
Mm,
mostly about what we're going to talk about today.
yes,
Uh, Healthy at last, right? Healthy at
yes,
last.
yes,
You wrote a book.
yes. Yes, it
And
is. It's really, I'm a big believer, Sally. Mother told me when I was a child. She said, baby, if you're fortunate to live long enough, you're going to be misfortunate to experience pain. The
mm,
question becomes, how do you turn pain into purpose? How
mm,
do you take those dark moments and don't see them as a burial, but as a planting? My book, Healthy at Last, is really part of the fruit from the harvest of that planting, that other people can be fed and they can learn that a diagnosis of a chronic disease is not a death sentence if
right.
we make the right choices. And that's what the book is about.
Well, here's what I have to say about the book. I just want everybody to know this book is wonderful. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. It
Hmm.
really is so good. I was pleasantly surprised because really, I got to tell you, because most books I read are so like, I feel like they're talking at me. I feel like it's so scientific. I felt like I was sitting across from you and talking about a plant-based
Mm,
diet. It
mm,
didn't feel, and let me just say, it's accessible. That's what I really like about it, that anybody from junior high school to, if you're still breathing, like 100 or whatever age you are, is going to get something from this book and understand this book.
yes.
So I was really impressed by that. So let me ask you a question. Was that your purpose, to make sure it was accessible to, and I really do mean this, to middle schoolers, because it
Yes,
is that
yes.
easy to read.
What I found as I went through this journey and tried to seek information, just the inaccessibility of it was rooted in the complexity of it, and people didn't understand that number one, you could really turn around your life around health and right in your own neighborhood, right in a local bodega, or right in a local store. It was just really about viewing it differently, and it was a real horrific moment for me. As the book points out, being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had a
Wow.
discomfort in my stomach, and I thought sure it was colon cancer because I just lost a good friend to colon cancer.
Right.
And men, you have to drag us to the doctors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
And
know a
so
few.
I promised that when I got back to the country, I was going to go to the doctor. And I, at the same time, when I got back to the country, I woke up that morning and I couldn't see the alarm clock. I lost my sight in my left eye and I was
Wow.
losing my right. And for the whole month, my hands and feet were tingling. all the time. I didn't know until later that was advanced stages of neuropathic nerve damage that could lead to amputation. And I went to have my colon checked and my stomach checked. And when I came out of sedation, the doctor said, Eric, you have an ulcer. He said, but your real problem is your diabetes. He says, you should be in a coma right now. Your blood glucose level is so high. And so he said, I have to put you on insulin right away, 3 medications. Sally, I walked into the doctor's office that day with no medication. I left for medication for my eyes, medication for my stomach, my ulcer, 3 medications for my diabetes, medication for my blood pressure, my cholesterol. I mean, I was a walking Dwayne Reed by the time I walked out of there.
It's not funny, but
That's how I felt.
It's not funny.
You know?
But your story sounds a lot like Mark's story, my brother,
Yes.
who you're really good friends with. Like,
Yes.
you walked
Yes.
in with something, and all of a sudden you walked out with this crazy diagnosis.
It was intense because 2 things happened in the doctor's office. One, I said to myself for a moment, I said, well, Eric, you knew this was coming. You knew that, you get to a certain age and you get, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, you get on medicine. And for a moment, I felt that way. And then when I got home, I called up, some of the heads of hospitals, and they sent me to their docs. I went to 5 of the best doctors in the city, and they all told me the same thing. This is life. This is your new norm. You're going to inject yourself in the morning with insulin. You're going to take your metformin. You're going to take your other pills. And this is just the life you're living now. And that day, Sally, after going to the 5th doctor, I remember sitting down at the computer with all the medicine next to my laptop and looking at the pamphlets that they gave me that said living with diabetes. And I typed one word different in the computer. I typed reversing diabetes. And it took me down a different path. And I came in contact with the writings of doctors that were now in this space of disease reversal. And I was able to connect with Dr. Dunayev, Dr. Greger, Dr. Esseltine, who treated Bill Clinton for his heart disease. I called up Dr. Esseltine. I flew to Ohio and had a meeting with him, a consultation, and he told me what to do. And I remember saying to him when he was telling me the power of food, I was saying, I'm losing my sight and this food is telling me to stop eating chicken, But I went home because I had nothing to lose. Looked at my cupboard, started reading the labels, and I was like, wow, this is what he was talking about. Processed salt, sugar, fat, my whole fridge, every once in a while I have a little fruits and a little wilted lettuce, but
Right.
For the most part, my diet was processed.
So let me just say this, because I was reading your book and you mentioned a lot of stuff, like the dollar menu, like all the. Were you really eating that much fast food?
Yes, yes, yeah.
How much of your diet would you say was fast food?
I would say probably 70%. And that's what's misleading because I had a very muscular build.
Yeah.
So, really it was covering that internal fat. And that's why people have to be careful. Sometimes if you have the genetics of a slim frame, you tend to believe you are healthy because you've been put on a lot of weight. Now, of course, a lot of people, the food go to their thighs, their hips, and their guts. But there are many slim people who are walking around with real cholesterol problem, real heart disease problem.
But you mentioned a really good point, and it's in your book, and you talk about how you I'm 50, Black man. This is what's supposed to happen. Right. Now let me just take. But right. It's not supposed to. It doesn't have to be that way.
So true.
That's the point of this conversation, and also the point of your book. I want to go back a little bit because this was really interesting. To me, is you said 20% of the African-American diet calories are from fast food, right? Which is pretty much what yours was. So my fear is like, wow, if 20% of the calories are from fast food, what is the other 80%? because we
Right.
know that's not good either.
Because it's important to know also, uh, 3 weeks after changing my diet, my vision came back. 3 weeks, 3 months, my nerve damage went away. They told me it was irreversible. I couldn't even feel my right thigh.
Wow.
I thought it was from playing football as a child, but in 3 months, the nerve damage went away. Cholesterol normalized. The ulcer went away. My blood pressure normalized. No medicine, no medicine, only food. And just the power of that. And so when we look at our diets, we don't connect the two. And that's why what you're saying is important. And I wanted to lay it out in the book in a
Mm,
real way that we need to, particularly as people of color, Caribbean, African
right.
Americans, part of the African diaspora, we embrace a diet that was forced on our ancestors. Our ancestors must be looking from the grave and say, what's wrong with these foods?
We don't have, wait, we don't have to eat like that anymore. Why are y'all still eating like that?
That's right. And you know what's deep? That I have some brilliant friends academically, professionals who have built great businesses.
Mhm.
As my son Ted said to me, he says, Dad, you mean to tell me you put the best gas in your BMW, but you didn't put the best food in your body? We take care of everything external. Try selling a sister a knockoff Gucci or a knockoff red bottom shoe. So we put more attention in the quality of those things that are external, and we turn over our internal to someone to tell us what to do with it. And that's what I wanted to show in the book.
Right. I thought it was interesting because I never saw it this way before, like rows of like fried chicken spots, fast food spots,
That's right.
making fast food, all and 4 blocks up, no lie, a dialysis center. I was
Right.
like,
Right.
you can go right from here to over there,
That's right.
and
Isn't that
that's it.
something? Isn't that
Yeah.
something?
So
Fastest growing industry in our community, dialysis center. And people think that, well, I'm born with kidney disease. My mother was 80 years old when she went whole food plant-based, 15 years diabetic,
you
7
can
years
say that again
autistic,
so the older people can hear
80,
you say
80
that.
years old.
And you and, you,
And
and her diabetes reversed as well, right?
it's right, 2 months. And she struggled because food is emotional. I know it's hard. That first week, as I point out in the book, of the challenge I had that first week, and I respect that. And the goal is not to beat yourself up. It's not to talk down to people, but to understand that anyone that has experienced alcoholism, narcotics, that's the same area of the brain that attaches us to this bad food. That's why they call it comfort food. Mark, your brother, would tell you when we were police officers, you went through a terrible job, you responded to a terrible crime, that really impacted you. You went to get that Philly cheesesteak. You went to get that pizza. You went to get that, that hot dog, that Frank, that hamburger, because we console ourselves by what we eat. And we have to really recognize what food is doing to us.
So because this is the thing, I know people have come to me, I'm not plant-based, but I've been pretty much living a whole food, nutrition dense diet about 30 years. And I got to say this about your book as well. Everything that I know plus is in your book. Everything that I know plus, your book inspired me to go, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that one. Oh, I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna do a little something with that. And I got to tell you also, this is anybody who's thinking about doing plant-based. I struggle after a while myself because I usually do it once a month in someplace, and I sporadically do it throughout the year. But I get tired of oatmeal. I'm like, I eat no more oatmeal. And then I read your book and the smoothies. I'm like, yeah. So I made a nice little kale, oat milk, mixed berries, and some green
Nice.
stuff. And I was full. It was delicious.
Right,
It was
right,
delicious. Put a
right.
little peanut butter in there, and I
Yes,
was good.
yes.
So it's
And
true.
and someone will hear that mixture And they will say, wow, that's strange to mix all that together. We've allowed ourselves mentally to divide food up into times of days. And that is just so silly.
Mm.
Oatmeal is not only for the morning. you know, I make this nice pasta made out of lentil noodles and oatmeal and three beans, black beans, kidney beans, and pinto beans. And it is amazing with all of these spices. I never cooked before prior to that. And it was just really exposing myself to all the different seasoning. I talk about that in the book. People don't even realize the power of seasoning. That's every Sunday is my seasoning day. I read the seasoning.
You
I
go to
learn about
Sahadi's or
it.
something? What do you do?
Yes, yes, yes. One of my favorite places, and I order seasoning all over the globe.
Okay.
Because there's some good seasoning, and I really encourage your listeners to just go online and read some of your favorite seasoning: cumin, turmeric, nutmeg. All of these seasons, they play an important role to your overall health. And let me tell you something for those women who are listening.
Mhm.
Um, you
A
want
lot of women listening.
you want spark back in your marriage? Have your husband go plant-based. you
Okay,
know?
really? Okay, wait. Just give us a little bit of information on that. What do you mean? How is it like? It's like he gets more energy.
So what happens, and this was so
I can
interesting.
attest a little bit to that though. Just
When I went to Dr. Esselstyn for the first time, there was an 80-year-old man that was there. And he was talking about his wonderful sex life. And I was like, wow, I want to have sex at 80. And so I said, when the guy started, he had heart disease. And when he started going to Dr. Esselstyn and he went plant-based, all of a sudden he was no longer erectile dysfunction. He wasn't experiencing that. And so Dr. Esselstyn explained it. He says that what happens when people think about a heart attack, that's when your arteries are clogged. But your arteries are not clogged in one part of your body. Your arteries are clogged throughout your entire body. And the first place that your artery clogs on a male is his sexual organ. So really ED is really saying that the person have early signs of heart disease, because that's the first thing that goes malfunctioning when you have ED. So when you clean out and go plant-based, not only do you clean out the arteries of your heart, which they thought was impossible, but you're cleaning out the arteries all throughout your body, including the male sexual organ. And so now it goes back functioning again, because now your arteries, the blood is flowing again.
no, I totally agree. I know our diets. I mean, I'm pretty decent. I know I can do a lot better. So I know plant-based is and I'll get there. I'll get there.
It's about meeting people where they are. It's not about, it's about starting with, as I point to the book, starting with meatless Mondays, trying different meals,
Right.
taking out a meal a week, just do breakfast meatless, not fried, not oil. Like many people didn't realize the number one enemy of diabetics. People say carbs, too much sugar and all of that. No, it's saturated fat.
That's what I want to talk to you about, because there's so much in this book. Oh my goodness, people, you have to get this book. Because you move into talking about saturated fat. Now there's some people like me who, I'm not doing chitlins, I'm not doing fried chicken, I'm not doing pork,
Right.
but I just want to read this quote that you said, because I thought it was really, because that to me summed it up. Wait a minute. Let me find it. Okay, here it is right here. You might binge on a pint of Chunky Monkey ice cream. For me, it's butter pecan, and think you have calmed yourself down. But in reality, the opposite has happened. You have upset your system. You have given it unhealthy food. You raise your cholesterol levels. You have added unneeded weight, and you have taken another step down the path to chronic disease. And I say disease and chronic pain. You might feel good for a moment, but you will feel worse later. Trust me. And
Yeah.
that's the real truth.
The standard, what they call SAD, Standard American Diet, SAD, is going to impact all of us, all of us. The question is how. Some people are going to get breast cancer. Some people are going to get colon cancer. Some people are going to get diabetes. Some people are going to suffer from depression. Some people are going to get dementia, Alzheimer's, strokes. We all are going to be impacted by the standard American diet because it is poison to our bodies. It hit me with diabetes. It hit other friends who have heart disease, like a good friend of mine who I mentioned in the book,
Cliff.
Detective Hollingsworth. He had a heart attack. He went to his doctor, and his doctor was a plant-based eater, and his doctor told him, well, it's too hard for you to do a plant-based eating. As I laid out in the book, Cliff said, well, what are you eating? He was plant-based. So, they treat our family differently. Go to the doctor, get a complete blood work, and then go plant-based in 3 months. And it's going to shock them. The firmness, how you feel about your body, your mind is clearer. We really don't know the connectivity between what we're putting in our bodies. You don't get Alzheimer's and dementia because you're getting older. They're showing a clear connection between the food we eat and how it clogs the arteries in your brain. And so I know some people would say, well, you know what, you don't live forever. We're not talking about immortality. We're talking about quality. You have countries in Africa where they have zero cardiac issues. And all of a sudden comes the American diet, and now they have crises around cardiac, crisis around heart attack. Everywhere the American diet goes, now they're dealing with major chronic health issues. And so it is not your DNA, it's your dinner. It's not where you're born, it's your breakfast, it's not your lineage, it's your lunch. That's what we need to understand.
I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's very true.
We have young people who are dying from heart attacks. Look at some of these young rappers who are dying from heart disease, who are dying, and the number of young people are committing suicide. You need to do a long-term investment in your health. Mm-hmm. And the earlier you start out, the more healthy you're going to become to live that qualitative life that you're looking for. And then they should be role models for their younger brothers and sisters, right. Role models for their parents, moving their parents into a healthier diet. Nothing gave me more joy than being able to have my mom go to a whole food plant-based diet and it's not seeing her inject herself with insulin over and over again. I mean, is there anything more you can ask for to be able to be there for your parents? And so that is my message to young people, and then to all of your listeners.
Right.
Let me tell you something, Sally.
Let's talk about COVID or high risk and those things.
The 90% of the people who died from coronavirus had pre-existing conditions, comorbidities, diabetes, heart disease, respiratory issues, high blood pressure. Over 90% of the people who were in hospitals had comorbidity. And so when we look at it, we are weakening our immune system so that it can't fight off diseases. Instead of protecting our body, it becomes really a weakened immune system. That army is no more there. And your listeners need to know there's a person inside of them that they know, and that person wants to come out. And we have a tendency to believe I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80, my life is behind me. That is so untrue. Your life is actually in front of you. All you have to do is lead it down the right path. You can reverse wherever you are right now. All you have to do to say to yourself, I know who I am and who I want to be, and I'm going to now move in a direction to become that person that I know who I am. That person didn't disappear because you reach in your octogenarian years. That person is not gone. You can be the person you want to be. And that's what I wanted to show people in the book. I wanted to be a conversation in their living room that they were just talking to a friend that just recovered, and I want them to recover also.
I think that's a perfect way to end this conversation. Um, the book, I was going to say drops. Is that right? Can I say drops? The book gets released, so on October 12th, and you can get it on Amazon, right?
Yes.
And you're running for mayor of New
Mhm.
York City.
Yes.
Can I say that? Is that okay?
Yes, yes, you can. And this is going to be, it's going to be
Eric,
a healthy city.
you care so much about people, and this book says it so much. I thank you. I thank
Thank
you
you.
for being our guest. I thank you for being my friend. I got it. I'm making recipes. Healthy at Last by Eric Adams, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, and soon to be mayor.
Thank you, sister.
All right, love. Okay, thank you. All
All
right.
right, take care.